So why do people continue to struggle despite all these resources available online? I was talking to a friend yesterday, and the answer is simple. There are patterns we have learned over the years. These are our dysfunctional patterns, and they take practice. They take a long time to establish. And in order for us to change these patterns, to improve, to make a difference and get different outcomes, we are going to need to practice new habits. And again, that takes a bit of time. Maybe not as much time as it took for us to develop the unhealthy habits. But look, if our unhealthy habits took so long to establish and we are comfortable in them and we are used to them, our cognitive distortions, our ways of thinking, our limiting beliefs, our unhelpful behaviors, if they took so long to establish, then we are going to need time. But not just time, but we are also going to need another person to work with us in order to undo those patterns and replace them with newer, healthier habits. Hear me out. When you have some bad habits or some habits that you have established over time, you believe in those habits. You've got beliefs that come with them, as well as thoughts and behaviors and everything else and attitudes. So you are going to need someone to hold you accountable, someone who can also call you out kindly, someone who can remind you of the newer path that you have chosen, and also someone to teach you to do things differently. That's why you have people who look for a personal trainer, for physical exercise. You have coaches for different things. People who are successful and professional usually look for some kind of accountability person, because that person is necessary for their growth, because it's easy for us as human beings to revert back to our patterns, our dysfunctional patterns. And unless we tackle our issues from their root cause, we are just going to manage symptoms and we'll go back to the same problems because the root is still intact. All it needs is a bit of watering and it will sprout out new growths. So that's why people struggle despite all these resources and despite sometimes going to therapy. This is the reason why in these 12-step programs, they recommend that you have not just the group, you have also a sponsor or an accountability person. And it's important when you heal that you have a system of living. Because in that system of living, this is where you are going to establish that you are your own life leader. No one can make decisions for you in your life. Even the decisions that you think are being made by your partner, you are making those decisions yourself as a default because of some learned behavior, some things that you learned earlier in life, or some beliefs that you hold from your earlier life. You defer decisions to somebody else, but in deferring a decision, you are also making a decision. But you are the feeler of your feelings and the thinker of your thoughts. And it is important that you take that responsibility for your life, for your behaviors, for any decision you make in your life, to make sure that it's on you and you are consciously making decisions for your life. You are intentionally making decisions for your life, so that you don't point fingers at anybody to say they decided for me. Because at the end of the day, as adults, we can't really point fingers at other people to say they made me do this. Yes, to a point, Those people can be responsible, but still we have agency as adults. We need to take charge of our lives. And then we also have circles and support systems we need to invest in, we need to tap into so that they can help us along the way. And these support systems need to be healthy and to be able to hold us accountable. And also in that level, there is our partner. When we are needing to choose better and to choose well, so that, again, we are taking responsibility of our choices and of our lives. That's very important. Who we choose for a partner is going to impact us in more ways than one. In many ways, maybe more than our parents did. Because at the end of the day, this is the person we might spend the rest of our lives with. So it's important that we choose well. And then we also have community. We also have other people we can invest in. That purpose is a fuel for growth. Because at the end of the day, we get help from other people, we get help from strangers, we get help from people we don't know. And it's also important that we give back to community, we give back to society. And we are not too inward focused. We are not too self-absorbed and self-focused. We are also doing something for others. That is important on our journey of healing. And for many people, we come across, if you find out something is not working with their healing, they are saying they are doing healing work, you need to probe further. You need to find out what their system of living is. You need to find out what their tools are, what tools they are using, and how often they are using their tools. Because for some people, they think healing is a once a week thing. But it doesn't work like that. You cannot go to therapy or to attend a meeting once a week and expect life to change just like that. Because at the end of the day, the meeting that you go to is only a place of learning. The application of that learning in your everyday experience is what's going to make a difference in your life. And for many people, they go to the meeting and then by the end of the week, they are defaulting back to their normal, regular, dysfunctional patterns. And that is the issue. This is where you are struggling because people sit and forget that they're supposed to heal their lives every day, just like they eat every day. Because if you don't eat every day, you're going to be starved. And if you don't eat healthy, you're going to have a crisis with your eating journey or your physical health journey. So again, that's something that you need to look at. Everything needs to be repeated in our lives until the end of life. We are supposed to repeat a lot of things every single day if we are going to thrive. We are going to continuously assess, plan, implement, evaluate. That's going to be an everyday thing. It's not something that you are going to say, I've done it and I've finished. And for those who are still starting healing, you still have an intense period or an intensive period of healing that you require. And then, yes, you can slow down when you've got the tools, but you'll still be applying them every day. It's not that you slow down and you stop applying the tools, but you slow down because you have embedded the tools in your psyche, in your system, and you can easily apply them as you go in your life. Your life is now better because you can just trigger the tools that you have learned over time. That is the difference. So it's important to ask those questions and to ask them who's holding them accountable and to ask them who is their support system and what are they like. Because some people have got very dysfunctional support systems who enable their bad behavior. And then you want to know whether they've got a purpose to serve in life. Because without a purpose, we become aimless. Because we need to live with a thought or a feeling or a knowledge and awareness that there is a greater or higher power in our lives. So this is what I was needing to talk to you about today. You need to invest in love on 3 levels to heal your life effectively.